Hi, I am Alexis Amann, and I am interviewing for the account management position over at Sociallyin. I'm really excited for this opportunity and looking forward to y'all get to know me better and hopefully can speak with y'all soon about learning more about the position and Sociallyin. So to start off, to tell y'all about myself, I'm originally from Memphis, Tennessee, and I came to Birmingham for school. I just graduated from Stanford University with a bachelor's degree in journalism and mass communication, a double concentration in print and advertising, and a minor in marketing. I really loved my time here at Stanford and just really excited to stay in Birmingham. Personally, some hobbies I have a mini golden doodle. Her name is Piper. She's really cute. And I love the art of dance and learning about it and watching different shows about dance. And then I love reading. And then professionally about me, I am searching for a career that kind of combines these three different parts that I'm really interested in. I love creativity. In high school, I learned a lot about Adobe Suite, and so that passion just kind of grew into always loving the creative, the graphics, things like that. But while I do know that people are more talented than me out there, I love speaking the language and having a hand in it. The second aspect about me that I want y'all to know is I really love the business aspect of things. I want to know the why behind what we're doing, the strategy for it. I think that's really important. And then the third thing is I just love people. I love talking to people, getting to know them, and building relationships. And so that's kind of how I landed at pursuing a career in account management. It kind of brings those three together in a perfect trilogy: the creative side of things, the business, strategy, and then people. So that's why I'm really excited about starting off a career in account management. Next question you have for me is, how did I come to find out about Sociallyin and what do I know about y'all? And so I actually have been searching for a career in this crazy mess of COVID and just looking at a lot of different places in Birmingham, and through LinkedIn and Google found y'all and just was really impressed right off the bat with the creativity of the work, how it brings in the brand's like kind of identity and the story, was just really impressive to me. And I like how it seems that everybody works together really well. The website design was really awesome, and so that's kind of what drew me in to Sociallyin. Next question, what are my strengths? I would say that I am motivated. I am ready and eager to work. I want to be a sponge coming out of school and just soak it all up and learn any aspect of something that I can. I would say I'm relational. I mentioned before, I love working with people in a team, and I love working independently too. I love getting a task and digging in and finding out what I can about it, and then going back and saying, hey, what can I do about this? Asking questions then. I like lots of irons in the fire. I like things to go all at the same time and just kind of keep working so that way you don't get bored, you don't get burnt out, but just kind of managing all those things at once really excites me. What are my weaknesses? I would say that I can sometimes be detail-oriented to a fault and persistent with something that I really want to get this thing done. I want to can kind of lose perspective, I would say, but as soon as I realize that, then I want to take a step back, look at the big picture. What really needs to be done? Do I really need to work on this one detail, or do I need to look at the big picture? And so just kind of always keeping myself in check, I think is really important for that weakness. Moving on, tell us about the online opportunities you have managed. Online communities you've managed. I have had the opportunity to be a part of several different organizations and different types of accounts. I was on the social media team at FedEx for a few months for an internship, and that was really cool to see that large scale of social media accounts and community. And then I've also been a part of small 1 to 2 people businesses, a lot of creative ones like photographers or bloggers, things like that. So I've kind of seen the whole gamut, and that's just really been interesting to see different sides and how different people work on it, and different strategies that you can take. What social media management tools do you use? I generally hop on board with whatever management tools that the company is using. As I've had a lot of different internships, I have used Sprinklr, Brandwatch, Hootsuite, HubSpot, and later. I've researched and looked at several of them through different classes for school or just general curiosity, and I tend to pick it up pretty fast. What strategies did you use as a social media manager to increase brand awareness of your company's brand? In my last role at FedEx, I was tasked with a project to increase brand awareness starting from within. I used an existing platform that pushed employee brand advocacy using, the platform was called Dynamic Signal. I created a communication strategy, which then I had to send through the legal department and also gain approval from senior executives to launch the program in 2 different departments within FedEx, which was sales and solutions. And so just kind of, that was a really great experience to learn what brand awareness is, and it was cool to see it come from within and just how that can really have an impact on the bottom line, and then and see that awareness really does affect the bottom line, and it makes a turnaround. And so how big of an impact social media can have on that is really cool to see firsthand. Explain a strategy that I created for a client. Kind of going off that previous question, my favorite part of that project was creating the strategy in the building phase and researching the why behind our end goal. We wanted to improve brand awareness, but how are we going to do that? And so I knew what we wanted to happen in the advocacy strategy, but I had to gain buy-in from team members and from executives. And so I laid out, or I started with research and trying to find hard facts about what the benefits were of reaching the end goal and finding those statistics. And then I laid out a plan of how we were going to reach those and the steps to make it happen, as well as what we needed to be monitoring throughout, so that way we can make changes and improvements throughout the entire process. I think it's important when you have a strategy to have a clear plan, but also to be searching for ways to improve and capitalize on what's going on around us. What tools do you use to schedule posts, if any? I've used Hootsuite and Sprinkler, and then also personal planning templates, just using in an office to have those printed out. It's sometimes nice to see, or on a board, on a dry erase board. It's nice for the whole team to be able to see it all at once and kind of have a central place for that. But I've also used online platforms as well. What metrics do you monitor on a daily basis, and how do you present them to the marketing department or leadership team? I think this question can kind of be different for different things. I think I would what I monitor depends on the account and the strategy. If I were to be running a campaign that is focused on brand awareness, I would focus on metrics to support that, like impressions and follows. However, if I'm running a campaign that is pushing a certain product or a service, I may focus on link clicks through to the website. I think that I would present them to leadership I would present those metrics in relation to the goal. I think metrics are an incredible tool, obviously, and really helpful, but they also need to be in conjunction with the strategy to hold weight and help. It can also help sway leadership to get buy-in, to your point, or to show the results, to say that, hey, what we're doing is really working, and I think we should keep doing this. I think it helps with client retention as well. How do you stay on top of social media trends and innovation? I think social listening is a great way to do that. I know that can be a broad term, but specifically what I mean, I think, is staying on top of popular hashtags, following accounts that can keep you up to date. I think an example of a hashtag would be like social media or social media marketing, and to see what other people are doing and what they're saying about it. I personally love reading news articles, seeing what's going on in the marketing world and innovation. I'm a big fan of the Wall Street Journal and love reading the innovation articles. But another key tool is watching what your client competitors are doing and keeping tabs on their account, seeing what their movement and what their strategy is, so that way we can make sure that we're not falling behind. What is the most important thing a social media manager should be doing? I think that consistency and innovation are the 2 most important things when managing social media. You need to stay on top of your accounts and be consistent with your work, but also at the same time be innovative. No one wants to see the same thing happening every single day. They want to see the next thing. They want to be wowed. They want to see something that matters or pulls on their heartstrings. We can't always stick with what worked yesterday. We need to know and figure out what's going to work tomorrow, what's going to work the next day. And so always being on top of that and innovative, I think, is really important as a social media manager. Let's see the next question. Do you have experience with Basecamp, Slack, Sprout Social, and various other media tools? I have used Basecamp. I really like it. I've used Slack. I've used Trello. I've used Microsoft Teams. I've not personally used Sprout Social, but I have researched it for different classes. And like I said, I think earlier, I tend to pick up technology pretty quickly, and I like learning new programs. I think it's always fun to learn something new. If we wanted to attract a younger audience, which network would you prefer to use and why? I would prefer to use Instagram. I personally am a big fan of it in a younger audience. I think it's the most convenient to use for marketing, as well as it provides a wide range of opportunities for all the different things that you can do with posts and stories and video. It's also very visual, which I think appeals to a younger audience. So tell me about a time when you made a mistake that made a client unhappy or cost you that customer. What did you try to do to rectify the situation? And what did you learn? Well, being out of college, I don't have a lot of experience to go off of this about making a client unhappy, but I do feel like I have been in a situation where there's disagreements. I feel like that has prepared me well for a future case of making a client unhappy, because no one's perfect, and I don't think that we expect them to be. But I think the best way to rectify the situation is to listen carefully to the client's complaints and their point of view, and then you do everything in your power that is right and necessary to do your job and meet those expectations and go beyond, especially in order to prevent this situation. But when that happens, if the client's still unhappy, I think it's to be honest with management about what is going on, and if that still isn't enough, maybe the relationship between the agency and the client isn't healthy and isn't the best match. Obviously, you want to retain those customers, but also you need to do what is best for both sides. I think it comes down to respect, hard work, and being forthcoming with all parties about what is going on. I think the thing that I learned the most is when you see a situation starting to have issues, to just let your supervisor or manager know that it's going on, so that way it doesn't come as a surprise, and it's not all on your back, that we can't do everything by ourselves, and it's important to be unified as a team. And so if you don't want things to come as a surprise if it gets more complicated. So just being honest and forthcoming, I think, is one of the most important things when dealing with situations that aren't always the best. Going off of that, provide an example of a time you disappointed a client or colleague. As an account manager, how did you resolve the problem? I think there was one time that I experienced dissension between myself and a colleague, and it was solely because of a lack of communication and not clear expectations. There was an assignment due on my part, and it was kind of a time crunch. He was going out of town, and he asked me to cover it, and the deliverables that I handed over were not exactly what he expected. And I learned from this that even when it seems like there's not a lot of time, hey, ask a question to create that clarity, and it doesn't take that long. And it's important to work through things on your own and look over it, but at the end of the day, sometimes questions are necessary, and especially in order to ensure that the need is met and the job is done correctly. And so in this situation, my deliverable worked out, and we were able to make it fit with what was needed to be done. But we just clarified that, hey, if we have a question next time, just ask it, and so we could improve so we didn't have to go through that situation again. And then lastly, the last question, explain how you would deal with negative comments or a social media crisis. I actually have a little bit of a fun answer for this one, ironically, but while I was working at FedEx was when the Huawei situation was going on in the news everywhere. It was really, really interesting, and while I was in a very unfortunate situation, it was a great learning opportunity for me. I was able to sit in on several meetings, see where the war room was being set up. I watched the social listening platforms. I watched interviews with Fred Smith about it. I saw the press release be sent out, and click the button and got to sit there as news stations started to call in and wanted comments and clarifications, and listen to those conversations. And so I was just kind of in the midst of it all, and all that to say, it gave me firsthand insight on how dealing with a crisis and an international one at that. It's really important to be on top of the social listening, to respond and address the issue in a peaceful, truthful, but sometimes a stern voice, and to always be gathering information on the matter and watching the repercussions of what's happening. can affect the bottom line, sadly, and it can also affect the reputation of the company. And so you always have to be monitoring the situation, handling the social media and the press, and every situation is different, and so how you're going to handle it's different. But just having experience and the tools set up before it happens, I think, is really important, so that way you can quickly figure out a strategy to handle it and try and minimize the repercussions. And I think it's important to have a team that's ready to go when something like this happens, because it's important to have different point of views going in, so you can approach the situation carefully and handle it quickly. And I think that's important. While those are all the questions that y'all have for me, I'm excited about this opportunity. I'm excited about learning more about Sociallyin. I think, like I said earlier, it's a very impressive company. And I'm really excited about the opportunity here, and I can't wait to speak with y'all more. I look forward to it. Hope y'all have a happy 4th. Thanks. Bye.